Welcome back to the channel. So a little trail fix for you see here. So I got a comment on one of my films from Ernst446, another YouTuber, asking about using his Classic 350 to check his stock in his fields. I guess he's a farmer, and what to do about riding through long grass. Now if you do this, you'll know that it can get gathered up in your gear lever and your brake pedal. So there is a fix for this, which trail riders know about. This is what you do. It's called a brake snake, and it applies to the brake and the gear lever. So on a trail bike, your gear lever and your brake pedal have a folding tip on the end, which is better for not damaging them. But they can still get pulled out of gear or bent if sticks or grass or foliage, get stuck in behind them as you're riding through long stuff. So what to do? You've got to drill out the ends inside with about a 3mm drill bit, just big enough to thread a cable through from a mountain bike gear lead cable or a throttle cable, ideally with a smaller oval nipple on the end that they have. So there's me drilled through with 3mm. So I'll just get the cable here. I've cut a couple off of old mountain bike gear cables. These are about 2 or 3 foot long once they're cut off a bike. I've cut them down a couple of feet. So you can see here it fits through the lever, but you do still get the nipple at the end sticking out. Now you could put it the other way around, or as I'm going to do, is take a 5mm drill bit. I'm going to countersunk it. So I'm just going to go in about 2 to 3mm. Just be careful, just gauge the thickness of your lever. You're not going to weaken the levers doing this because these levers are steel. You do get alloy levers on trail bikes, but the road bikes, or the classic ones, are steel, so you'll be okay. Just give it a little bit of drill. You can always wrap a bit of tape around your drill bit so you can see how far you go in. So I'll stick this back in, you'll see what I've done. So there you go, it's not sticking out too much. So now what to do, if you've got some tiny heat shrink, thread that through, and if you've not, and you don't mind the colour red, you could use like GT85, you know the straws you get for that, or WD-40, you could thread that onto the cable just to protect your frame from, because these things, have being stainless steel wire, it'll rub the paint off your frame if you're worried about that. So I've got a lot of these little sections from a multi-pack of heat shrink, so I'll put 3 on, that should be enough. Now you get one of those electrical connectors that you seen me at the start having. They've got the white plastic around them. I tend to cut that off. It just looks fugly on a bike. Thread that on, and then lastly get a bigger bit of heat shrink that will go over that to try and cover that. It just makes it look like a neater job once it's done. So once that's all done, loop it up somewhere on the frame where you can. So thread the return cable through the electrical connector. Now what you have to do here is just get it to the right length that the gear lever will still go down fully, but just a little bit of slack, because you don't want to restrict your gear lever movement obviously. You see here I pulled it too tight, so I'll just back it off a bit and then we'll tighten it up. Right, so we've sorted the length of it now, it's not too tight. So you need to cut down this cable. Now to get something like these cable cutters for bicycles, for doing cables, be it motorbike or mountain bike, whatever, bicycle. They're Shimano cutters now. They're not cheap, they're 30 quid, but they'll last you a lifetime. Good quality. So that's that cut down, so I'm going to put an end on that. I don't want anything sharp sticking out that you're going to snag on cleaning your bike. So we'll just crimp that on. I'll set along those pliers using the cutter section. So you flatten the end of a blank end, and then you crimp it 3 times. If you're trying to be professional, like the bike mechanics do. That's that done. So lastly, we'll just slide that larger section of heat shrink on it. So actually it's a bit too wide, and we'll just hit the whole thing with the heat gun, and it just tidies it all up. So that's all done. that's a little bit too wide, but on that last bit heat shrink. But as you can see, the gear lever is operating fine. So there you go, job done. So we'll go and do the brake pedal now. So the brake pedal on a Classic 350 is not like your regular trail bike ones, which will be straight. So you've got quite a wide gap to cover. So I'm going to kind of meet halfway on this. What I'm trying to do is stop the weeds going in there that I'm demonstrating. You even get a big stick in there. You see how it pulls down your brake pedal? If you're in first gear with the torque to first gear on a trail, you'd never even realise that your back brake's getting pulled on slightly, and it will end up just burning your pads. So I'm just going to quickly drill this out. That'll be a 3mm drill bit again, just big enough to thread this other cable through. And with that hole drilled, we'll just repeat the procedure and thread another cable through, round, putting all the heat shrink on and tension it right so it doesn't interfere with the pedal play, and job's a good one. So things like this are great because they don't actually cost any money, just 15 minutes of your time. If you've got bits and bobs lying around like heat shrink and old cables and stuff, and it's a classic trail rider's mod to do to a trail bike or enduro bike for green laning. Now you can actually even buy kits to do this from Off-Road Only in Wales, but if you've got cables and stuff, as I say, just use them. It's exactly the same thing, it saves you money. It's another sort of one of these sort of cheap free mods to do, just a bit of time. But it's worth it because you'll find out if you're, I mean, the Royal Enfield Classic 350 is not a trail bike, it's a road bike. But you can use it on roads, trails, sorry. Now, interestingly, going back to World War II, the dispatch bikes were just road bikes, as all motorbikes were. Even look at flat track racing in America in the 50s and 60s and 70s. It was just converted road bikes, and all it was the tyre that it changed. And that's what's great about the Classic 350 is it can take on a little bit of rough stuff. Nothing too daft because suspension's not that good, you know, in the geometry compared to a modern trail bike or even an 80s trail bike. But doing stuff like this will just help you go up a green lane or a bit of free woods or whatever to get to somewhere for a photo, or as I do, go and see some World War II buildings or whatever. So anyway, we're nearly done, and that's us got our brake snakes installed. So all done. So there you go, installed. So let's just go out for a ride and we'll find some boondie to ride through, and you'll see how these things cut the grass out and get rid of it. You want them slack like that, don't worry about them hanging like that, because you'll see when they hit stuff. So it's good to finally see the weather turning up better, temperatures and stuff now. And sunshine as well, finally. It's took to the 30th of June. It looks like summer finally decided to arrive. So this is the 30th of June. I've filmed this, you'll be seeing it a week late, but this is my last day off for 14 days as we do the prep and in the week for the Scottish Open at Renaissance Golf Club. I've got a couple of films made to put on between now and then, at the finish of it all. I will be busy, but I'll try and get a couple of commuting back and forward films done, because I will be out during the day because I'm on split shifts. What I'll do here is I'll nip up this little track that goes to a building. Now, we're northeast of RAF Drem here, of about a mile or two. And either side of this road, back at those corners and up here on the left, is brick buildings that have something to do with base. I don't know what. It could have been home guard buildings, but there's also one behind Drem Cemetery. Sorry, Dirlton Cemetery. If you go there, you'll see it. So here a good a good excuse to get through the Boondai, and you see these brake snakes working anyway. Once we get up, we'll stop, get a photo, and I'll put the camera down onto the crash bar mount, and you can see it there. Okay. So there is no documentation online of these buildings to the northeast of the former RAF Drem, and why they're there. So anyway, watch the grass seeds get shredded off the long ryegrass here. I'm actually riding through the centre of the track here between the tram lines to try and get through the thickest grass. Look at all the grass seeds flying off as it gets shredded. So that's how those cables work, you see. Stops that grass getting jammed in there. So there you go, no grass sticking in there. Perfect. Should actually go up and do through some heather next time I'm up the Lammermuir Hills, our local hills, and you'll see it's perfect. So again, thanks for watching. As always, leave a comment, like, check you're subscribed. If not, please feel like subscribing. It'd be nice to get more folk on board. Okay, I'll see you soon. Bye for now.